Welcome to Blood, Guts, and Booze.
I'm Olivia.
And I'm Kendrah. And this is a comedy podcast here to frighten you and make you question the world that we live in. So sit back with your favorite snacks and let's dive into this. Listener discretion is advised, as these podcasts are not for the faint of heart, nor are they PG. So this week, we are doing our very first double episode. For those of you who only listen to Olivia's stories, welcome to mine. This week, I am doing my first fan-requested case. Our mutual friend Candice has requested that I cover the case of Candice Diaz. Now, let's get started. This story is really more about Candice's 4-year-old daughter, Gabby Barrett. On New Year's Day, 2019, Gabby's body was found burned and beaten inside the family mobile home in Sumter Township in Detroit. They also lived there with Candice's boyfriend, Brad Fields. Before I start giving details of what Gabby was put through, I want to say that the medical examiner on this case called it the worst child death case in 27 years.
Ew.
Yeah. Just wait.
Children cases always, like kidnappings, deaths. Oh, they're so sad.
So Candice told the police that on December 31st, 2017, Gabby wanted to take a bath. Normal 4-year-olds. The water was too hot and she burned herself, but they did not seek medical attention. The next day, Gabby again wanted a bath, and this time Candice found Gabby submerged in the bath water up to her nose. She said that she pulled Gabby out, Gabby vomited, and then they started CPR. Then they called 911. First responders were not able to resuscitate Gabby, and she sadly died.
Oh, no, that's so sad.
It sounds like a tragic accident, right?
Yeah, because I used to go under the water in the tub when I was little. I remember being like, oh, let's see if I can, and I just lay back and
Yeah, so it just sounds like a tragic accident.
Yeah.
Fake again. Police found a large amount of melted skin in the bathtub drain.
Oh, yum.
She had been burned so badly that her one big toe fell off. A medical examiner.
Her fucking toe fell off.
Yeah, because she was that badly burned. Like, that takes some serious hot water.
Yeah, that's like past boiling point, probably.
Yeah, a medical examination found that she had been abused prior to her death, of course, and the couple fled Michigan, but were caught days later in Georgia. So, during the trial, Candice tried to claim that she was left with physical and emotional scars from a house fire when she was a child and used that as an excuse for what she put Gabby through. Which just infuriates me.
Always blaming others.
Mm-hmm. So, a quote from the judge reads as this: "You and that monster systematically destroyed this beautiful child's spirit, body, but never her soul. You allowed him to put your child in a garbage bag when she wet herself, to give her drugs. Your response was..."
What?
Yeah. Your response was, "Brad beat her ass. What crime could this precious child commit that would cause such severe punishment? None."
What pieces of shit?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So Candice and Brian had another daughter together named Zoe. Gabby was from somebody previous that Candice had been with, so it was actually Brian's stepdaughter. The Christmas cards that they had sent the year before only included Zoe and not Gabby. Zoe was never abused because they only viewed Gabby as the problem since she was not Brian's. So because she wasn't Brian's child, then basically he didn't care about her at all.
That's kind of what I was thinking where that was going to go.
Yeah. So now I'm going to get to the parts that, most of you really aren't going to like. So the injuries of Gabby's included tooth decay, burn injuries, vomit in her lungs, and alopecia, which is
tooth decay. Did you not say she was 4 years old?
Yes.
What the fuck?
Just wait. So an alopecia, which is when someone's hair is pulled out of their scalp while they're alive.
Oh, what the fuck?
Her cause of death was ruled as septic shock. Basically, her little body couldn't take the abuse anymore. The
Yep.
coroner also attributed her death to blunt force trauma, a fatal burn pattern, thermal injuries, and asphyxia injuries. She was also described as somewhat emaciated. There were indications of her being suffocated by a hand being placed over her mouth, and the toxicology report came back with caffeine and amphetamines in her system.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm not done. I'm not done. Gabby also had matted, lice-ridden hair with several contusions to her scalp, malnourishment, some degree of decay or necrosis in all of her teeth, so necrosis, numerous lacerations in various stages of healing, significant bruising, burns, among other injuries. The pathologist indicated that she must have been in extreme pain. Yeah. So the only good thing,
what the fuck?
the only good part of this whole thing is that Candice was sentenced to 30 to 60 years in prison for the torture and murder of Gabby.
Not enough.
Yeah, and Brian was convicted to life in prison.
Not enough.
May they both rot in hell.
Eye for an eye.
Yeah. So, my case today is pretty short, but it was fan requested, so of course I did it. But honestly, reading about it all, it was making me sick to my stomach, just trying to get through. And most of the list of the injuries that I actually got them from like a case text thing of like People versus Fields or whatever.
Yeah.
So, it was like legitimate, serious things.
That is what the fuck? I don't literally have no other words other than what the fuck. Like that's pretty intense for a child to go through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, being a mom, it was even more heart-wrenching because I'm like, how could somebody literally do all of this to a baby?
I'm a fur mom, and I still can't even imagine how somebody could do that to their own biological child.
Yeah, and I mean, you're basically like a pretty great aunt, so you love like my kid and your other friends' kids and stuff.
Oh yeah, like I'm that cool aunt. But yeah, I could not. Ugh. That's
yeah.
I get why her body couldn't handle that. I don't even think somebody who is an adult could probably handle that.
Yeah, I mean, if all of those lists of injuries were me, I don't think that I could do it without some friggin' willpower. And even then, I don't know. But another thing that I read too was that Gabby's like biological father had made a comment about the case. And basically he said that he didn't blame Candice like at all. He just said that basically she was manipulated and forced to do the abuse by Brian, which I'm sorry, but
I mean, I kind of get where he's coming from because she did have what you said was a rough past, and I get that. And if it was it any issues with her father when she was a child, or
I don't know. It was really hard to like find a history on her other than the fact that she was in a house fire when she was a child.
She but something like that could give her like maybe some sort of like she could have developed some sort of like mental cognitive disability, right? Where, or that might be the wrong word, not disability.
Oh no, she would disable.
But like but you know what? She could have developed some sort of illness that made her, I don't really know how else to put it, like whipped to do things by men.
Kind of like a PTSD sort of thing.
Yeah, like PTSD, and it's like you just go along with it. Like I know there's a few cases with children. One that we both know from our city where we're from, where the woman made kind of similar things where it was like, oh, he told me to do it. And it's like, or like same with, Carla Homolka and Paul Bernardo, right? Like, oh, he told me to do it. It's like, no, you have your own free will.
Okay, well, hold on. I got some things about both of the two things that you just said. So the Carla Homolka thing, it was later proven through tapes that
she's a psycho bitch and she was the one in charge.
Yeah, and that she offered the girls to him.
I'm
going to cover them eventually. Yes. Okay, but the other thing, the one that you were talking about, Olivia's informed me that I'm not getting a lot of messages about true crime like requests and stuff, but a lot of people have requested for us to do things that aren't so American, and we will eventually be covering Canadian stuff and like other countries. It just so happens that we've only been covering American, but
it's because we're going to be starting a little quick update, but we're going to be starting a series just on Canadian cases because we're Canadian. So don't worry, any Canadian recommendations that anyone has will be coming. We have a special date for when all that's gonna come out, but there's a reason we haven't done especially a specific case that a lot of fans have been requesting.
Yes, and that's the one I'm going to say is it's Victoria Stafford, and I am sorry to announce to all of you, but it is a case that I will not touch, just because it is so close to the community that we live in, and I do not feel comfortable with where we are right now, like with our podcast and my experience and stuff, touching it without doing it the proper justice. So out of respect for her family, I have decided that that is the one case that I will not be touching unless, I can actually feel really, really, really comfortable doing it.
It'll have to take a lot of research, a long time. I don't even know if they're still fully finished everything with that case in general, but we want to make sure that we get as in depth and give it the justice that it deserves without being disrespectful towards her family, because it was a very traumatic incident that happened in the community and it still impacts everybody.
Yeah, it especially like an anniversary of her death came up recently, and like because it's such a big part of our community, then I feel like I don't want to do it and then us get a bunch of backlash either because we didn't do it right. It's just too close to home for me to feel comfortable doing it yet. But
it'll happen, but you guys just have to be patient and wait.
Yeah, and I mean it's not the only big crime case in our community, so don't worry, I've got a list.
Oh, yeah.
But anyways, this is our first double episode, which means that now, since you have all heard me, now we all get to hear the Olivia. So what do you got today?
So my case is fairly long, and it's a bit of a doozy. It also involves a child, so I guess that's a little ironic that we both picked similar cases.
All right.
Mine also involves a little bit of not necessarily abuse, but kind of.
Okay.
So my case. So the names of the child, or the name of the child involved, has been changed for privacy purposes, which this name also got changed back in 1949 when this happened.
Okay.
And today I'm going to be doing the Exorcism of Roland Doe.
Okay.
So 72 years ago, in mid-1949, a 13-year-old boy named Roland Doe started experiencing strange things over a couple of months, which led him to having an exorcism. With 48 eyewitness accounts of this possession, 9 being Jesuits. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's a religious order in the Catholic Church. It's located in Rome, and it's basically a club for ya homeboy, JC. Uh, so this is a story that
wait,
also.
What the hell was it called?
Juicy.
Spell it.
Jesuits. It's like G suits. Like,
see, the Canadian for French in me wants to say je suis.
Je suis. JC.
Je suis.
Yeah, it's probably pronounced in Italian, right? If it's in Rome, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But this story is also what inspired William Peter Blatty's book in 1971 and the movie that got released in 1973, The Exorcist.
Okay.
Yes. So this is the...
I've seen that. I've seen it. I've totally seen that.
Well, and if anybody got my hint in the blooper from a couple weeks ago, it's actually a quote from Scary Movie, which is making fun of The Exorcist. So I know I did have a couple people message me saying that they got what it was. So
why does nobody message me?
I spam people, to be honest.
Okay, just so you guys know too, like there are two different Facebook things. I run the page, and Olivia runs like the friend request thing, like the person,
the actual account
profile. That's it.
It's only because I'm Facebook challenged and I didn't know how to make a freaking group. So I just made a Facebook page and said, fuck it, y'all can just add it on there.
And I run the actual like page. Mm-hmm. But we both do the Instagram, so.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so anyways,
so
who guessed it?
Yeah. So now, before these traumatic actions happened to Roland, he was a very lonely boy that relied on adults for playing. He used to hang out with his Aunt Tilly more than anybody else. She was also a spiritualist. So soon after him spending so much time with her, he started to show interests in spirit boards. So she then taught him how to use the good old Ouija board.
How to use drugs?
Yeah. You know what? I bet you his family probably wished that's what it was.
There's like these American commercials. I don't remember where they're from, like Michigan, maybe something. And it's like the meth, not even once. Have you ever seen those?
Possibly. I don't have cable. I haven't had cable in like 10 years.
They're so messed up. Find them when we're done this. They're so messed up.
So this poor kid just wanted to learn and play with the board, but clearly him and his aunt invited something more sinister to come and play with them.
Oh.
Yeah. Really got to get a soundboard. So they eventually started hearing noises and scratching around the house, which his father brought in an exterminator thinking that they had like rats or mice in the walls, even like roaches, some sort of pest, with no sign of anything, taking rent within the walls. His mother started to think that they were haunted. 11 days into hearing the scratches, dear old Aunt Tilly passed away.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Poor Tilly.
So the noises and scratches and other activity started to increase around the house and mostly in Roland's room.
Well, now you got two ghosties.
Yeah. Well, his mother actually asked if it was Tilly haunting the house, and if so, to knock 3 times, which they then heard 3 knocks soon after. But
so one ghosty confirmed.
Yeah, but if it was his aunt,
a lying ghosty.
Yeah, if it was his aunt, why would she torment just Roland and not anybody else?
Okay, theory. Maybe this whole time she actually really just hated him. And
maybe
then in the afterlife, she was finally like, yeah, I can get this kid.
I could see her tormenting him. Nobody could see I was actually doing quotes because this is audio, but tormenting him. I could see her specifically aiming towards Roland because they had a connection. They hung out a lot. They played with the spirit board.
Did she have kids of her own?
I don't think so. I'm
Well,
not.
maybe that's it. She like resented the fact that she never had kids.
Maybe. I'm still leaning more towards my theory, as there was like an energy connection with them using the board, which could be why Roland's room is also where most of the activity is, and maybe why he got affected so much.
Okay.
If it was her. But also, did Aunt Tilly make a deal with the devil or any spirits? Was she there protecting the family while she was alive? And now that she's gone, is her spiritual strength trying to still protect them, or is it no longer there to protect them? Also, knocking 3 times is a mock of the Trinity, which is normally a tall tale sign you have a demonic spirit in your house or location.
Why ask for 3?
Because people are silly.
That's it. I'm asking a demon for 5.
Well, see, my mom and her friend, they also listen to the podcast, and
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom and friend. But they also do like ghost hunting and stuff together. And they showed me a video where my mom actually caught like a little manifestation, glowing eyes in the background. It's actually pretty cool. But her friend asked to knock 3 times. And when I heard that, I stopped the video. I was like, you don't do that. You don't do that. I was like, I won't come here anymore if you're going to bring like a demon in here. As you can tell, I've grown up with this stuff. So,
oh, I love your mom.
I love her too.
I work with Olivia's mom.
I used to. She was my first boss.
Loser.
She's cool.
I mean, I feel like everyone has their mom as their first boss. Chores. Duh.
Oh, no. This was like my legit first job ever. I was 14 and I had just gotten like my card so I can get a job.
Yeah.
And she comes up to me and she's like, you start Saturday morning at 6. And I had to go into the coffee shop and learn the kitchen at 6 a.m. I was not impressed. I remember I was very unimpressed, but it was a good job. I still have a lot of the friends from there. We all loved it. We all want to reopen that coffee shop one day.
I do like that coffee shop.
It was good.
The best friggin' waffles.
Oh, their London fog. Steamed hot chocolate. Okay. I'm getting hungry and thirsty.
Anyways,
so
and we're way off track. We're gonna have to edit a bunch of that out.
That's okay. More bloopers. So Roland's mattress would start to move and shake violently. They would hear some extremely deep voices. Hello. Okay, that's not that deep. That's more like creepy. I'm Batman. Okay.
Hello.
I'm Batman. The neighbors would hear noises and yelling coming from the house. Was Roland suffering from an unseen medical condition, or was he actually a victim of demonic forces?
Okay.
So Roland would get taunted at school by peers who thought he was just acting out for attention.
Yeah, the weird kid.
Yeah. So Roland's desk at school would also shake and vibrate kind of violently. And teachers thought, due to him being a little high strung and a bit of a loner, that it was just him acting out for attention as well.
He was actually just jerking off in his desk.
Oh my, could you imagine? Oh my. So this poor kid could not escape from the negativity.
Listen. Child masturbation is a thing.
I know. I'm just trying to picture the headlines of reading that on like Daily Mail. Like,
gross.
Child claims possession is reason why desk shakes, but realistically, he was actually just wanking off. Sorry. So this poor kid couldn't escape from the negativity at home, school, or clearly us on this podcast.
Yep.
So he started developing fits every night and having terrible nightmares that started a depression within him.
Oh.
Yeah.
God.
And when you're depressed or in a negative state of mind, it's just even more of a reason for a demonic spores. Wow. Force to, I guess they're kind of spores.
You can't see the face I'm making at you right now.
They
Look at me.
I was looking at you.
Spores.
But that's you know, they like to stick a straw in you when you're full of negative energy and just suck the fucking life out of you. So
like Dementors.
Literally, fuck, I love Harry Potter. So could this be an unseen medical condition like epilepsy, Tourette syndrome, or even schizophrenia?
No.
No. So after multiple healthcare professionals couldn't figure out what was wrong with him other than him being high strung, they were also
Ritalin, it'll fix it.
Yeah. They were also being very cautious at assuming possession is the reason why he's having these conditions. So with his parents starting to feel at a loss, they contacted Reverend Luther Miles Scholes, who had also heard about Roland, and he was intrigued but very skeptical. He was also into the parapsychology and was wondering if it was a poltergeist or not that was in their home.
Mm-hmm.
So the Reverend invited Roland to his house to witness if it was a poltergeist or not, because a poltergeist cannot leave the location that it's at, but a demonic spirit is attached to a person, so they'll move with you. Whereas like a little ghosty will just hang out in the house.
Mm-hmm.
So not long after Betty Boo, Roland's bed started shaking violently. Still thinking this whole fucking thing's a joke, he told Roland to go, lay in an armchair in the fucking living room. Okay. So uncomfortable. The chair started.
You're possessed. Just go lay down. It's fine.
Yeah. Move from your bed to an armchair. Clearly, that's what's the issue, right?
That will fix it.
So soon after being in the chair, it also started to shake violently and even fell over and just fucking yeeted Roland right on the floor.
Oh.
Yeah, so he then had Roland sleep on the floor beside him on a spare mattress, which also started shaking and sliding around the floor, even moving him from side to side and underneath the bed. At this point, I don't think I would blame like a mental illness for a mattress moving that aggressively.
No.
And if nothing else is moving in the house, I think you can rule out a possible earthquake.
Yeah.
So Roland ended up with 3 scratch marks on him. So the Reverend then decided this clearly is not a poltergeist. So, and like I said earlier, 3 marks, scratches, knocks are all sign of like the devil or Satan himself. And it's a mock of the Trinity.
What's the Trinity?
The Trinity is the, oh my goodness, you'd think I know this.
You don't even know.
No, I don't. It's like the Son, the Light, and the Holy Spirit, I believe.
No.
Something like that.
The Father, the Son.
There we go. There we go. I was on the right track.
I went to church.
I didn't. I have only been a few times.
The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. The
yes.
Father and the Son are God and Jesus.
Yes. So that's what it's mocking, that the Holy Trinity there. So they reach out to Father Albert Hughes, and he claimed the temperature of the room got very cold when they came to visit him, and the phone on his desk slid across like the entire desk. And Roland made claims along the line, "Why help me, you priest of hell?"
Okay, hold on. I just Googled it. The Holy Trinity is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, but all of them are God, but not all of them are each other.
Okay.
Okay. I just don't want our viewers to think we're stupid.
Well, I mean, it's the one thing I definitely didn't look up, but I just know that 3 marks or knocks is a mock of the Trinity, because I watch enough. I don't watch anything but like ghost shows. It's so bad. And Friends, like that's all. So after seeing Roland, he said, clearly the devil is within this boy and we need to get him the fuck out. Not even paying rent. So
the power of Christ compels you.
Yeah. So he contacts Archbishop Patrick O'Boyle asking for an exorcism, which permission was granted. As you have to get permission from pretty much an archbishop that's got ties with homeboy in Rome. Yeah. So yeah. So sometime between the end of February and beginning of March, they admit Roland under a fake name, which is Roland Doe, and they begin the exorcism. Shit hit the fan because no one can control the fucking devil. He breaks free from his arm restraints, grabs a spring out of the fucking mattress, and cuts Father Hughes down the entire length of his arm, which resulted in 100 stitches.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Roland also became...
Goes to the hospital. What happened? Some kid.
Yeah. So Roland became very depressed from this whole experience, and even more after the effects of these exorcisms, which is just a little tidbit.
How many exorcisms did he have?
Oh, we'll get there. I'm like not even halfway through yet.
As we keep going off topic.
So he screamed, and they notice bloody scratches appear on Roland's chest that spelt out Louis. Clearly, this is a fucking sign to take him to St. Louis because they have family there.
Or maybe it's a dude named Louis.
Maybe it was the name of the demon that was in there, right? Because
maybe
the only way you can control and expel a demon, from what I'm understanding, is if you know the name of the demon.
Stillskin.
Yeah. So with no idea if they were following any leads, after that exorcism, they decided to piece the fuck out and head for St. Louis. March 8th of 1949. They arrive at 8435 Roanoke Drive in Belle-North, St. Louis, hoping they left all of the shit and crazy at the old house along with the devil behind them.
Nope. That don't work like that.
Things were okay for a bit. Then Roland starts screaming throughout the night. His bed starts shaking, objects flying around the room. At this point, his family, along with his other family, like his cousins, aunt, uncle, they're terrified at this point. Like, what the fuck is going on with this kid?
Mm-hmm.
So one of his cousins decided to go meet up with a couple priests to have them come over and check out Roland. Father Raymond Bishop and Father William Bodern became involved in this case now. As Roland is in bed, one of the fathers, they go up to the bed and start reading passages from the Bible. After a while, nothing sinister, evil is happening, so they decide to leave. within minutes of them being out of the house, same shit starts happening. Bed shaking, things flying, literal all hell is breaking loose. So it's now March 11th of 1949.
So how long's this been going on?
So when they arrived in St. Louis, it was March 8th. And at this point, they had probably been having paranormal activity in their house for a couple weeks to a month. This whole thing is only within like 2 to 2.5 months, this whole thing. A very short period of time. But so March 11th, 1949, one of the priests, fathers, witnessed a bottle of holy water fly itself across the room, along with some books and other objects. They returned, they saw all of this, they're seeing all this shit flying around, and they're like, oh fuck, the devil is upon us. So they start reciting a Roman exorcism ritual. At this point, the father is basically like, you want to fuck on me, Satan. Like, I will expel a motherfucker if I have to. So an exorcism is also almost as old as religion itself.
Okay.
Fun fact. But Roland is on his way to Highway 666, possession of the fucking devil.
Well, you know how much I love fun facts.
I got a whole bunch just randomly through. So there are 4 types of demon possession: infestation, oppression, obsession, and possession.
Okay.
Roland at this point showed signs of 3 of the 4 types of demonic possession.
Yeep.
Yep. Not looking good.
What that sound was.
We should put it on a shirt.
It was a mix of like yikes and yeesh and just yeep.
So they had another archbishop approve another exorcism. At this point, they were prepared to that this battle could result in one of them becoming possessed instead. So Father Bowdern suited up for a standoff with the fucking devil, even though he was terrified of what was about to happen. Yeah. But they were literally prepared to extract this motherfucker from Roland. Like they were ready.
All right.
Put your fucking big boy boots and gloves on. It's happening. So Father Bishop Allen decided to keep a diary of the entire thing, which is how all this information has come out.
You read the diary?
No, I actually, for most of my information, I watched the documentary on Discovery Plus, Shock Docs, The Exorcism of Roland Doe.
Oh, okay.
Very informative.
Although, Christmas and birthday, now I have ideas.
So, but this diary was meant to be a manual for next time this happened to anybody. They knew exactly like what steps they have to take for the next person this happens to, because we all know it's not just one person in the entire world that gets possessed. There's millions of people that go through possession of all sorts.
If you say so.
So on March 16th of 1949, they lay out all their badass tools from their exorcism kit. Mm-hmm. This includes holy artifacts, cloths, holy water. They start the exorcism and start panicking as scratches randomly start appearing all over Roland's body. At this point, he's writhing in pain just from these marks.
I bet.
And they've only started. But this demon is fighting hard against the priest. Like, he does not want to, he wants to live rent-free. Like, so once the demon reveals itself, which is its name, like I had said earlier, that's probably one of the easiest ways you can expel a demon. So the word hell starts to appear on Roland's chest, but almost like it's burned into his skin or like a rash.
Mm-hmm.
They knew there was no way that Roland could have done that to himself, as he was pretty much bound to the bed. In some cases of possession, people's eyes will turn into reptilian-like slits, which is a sign of the demon showing itself, but not revealing themselves.
I feel like I've heard that before, and that it's also why some people believe in like reptile people.
I was just about to say, it's not demons, they're just reptilian people that live underground. That's a case for another day. So after about 9 hours of performing this exorcism, they realized this is going to take more than one session to get rid of him. Some exorcisms can go from days to weeks to months or even years, depending on the case.
Jesus.
And how, yeah. I was a little shocked by that.
Immense torture for years.
I couldn't do it. So
dude, if that ever happens to me, just take me out back and shoot me.
Oh, like an animal that's sick, right?
Yeah. I'm just a horse with a bad leg.
I will do it for you, and I will pour salt on your body, because you gotta salt the dead before you put it in the ground if there's shit attached to you.
Thank you.
Well, cremated with some fucking salt. Mm-hmm.
Holy water to put out the fire.
So Roland seemed normal for a bit during the day after, the next day after this exorcism, after the next few days. So they thought, what they were doing is working. But once nighttime rolled around, that's when the demons come out to play. So they started using relics to help Roland and give that positive holy vibe. What's up? He started to convulse, and he asked to have the windows open. He said the demon is trying to leave, and he literally projectile puked all over the wall.
See, that's the exorcist, I know.
Yes. So he felt fine, and the priest decided to head home. He's like, yeah, he's gone. I'm a free boy.
He vomited. We did it.
Yeah. High five. So he, until he started having these random pains in his body again, and he started screaming, he's back. And the demon's all like, LOL, just kidding. I'm still here, bitch. So the father was called back around 3:15 a.m. There were also multiple claims of multiple demons residing within Roland.
Jesus.
Yeah. So March 20th, 1949 is day 5.
So they might have just got rid of only one of the multiple ones then.
I personally don't think they got rid of any.
Well, maybe they just got rid of the little one.
Maybe.
Like the least threatening one. Which
sometimes the little ones, though, are the worst. So Father Walter Halloran made claims they witnessed the bed levitate 8 to 10 inches off the ground.
Whoa.
The family invited a scientist and a mathematician to witness Roland's case. The scientist and this mathematician, they witnessed the nightstand levitate off the ground as well.
Wow.
They said, we still have a lot to learn about electromagnetic fields, as with enough of it around, you can actually move objects to levitate off the ground, but they don't think that this was the case. So March 23rd, 1949, once again, they moved Roland to another location. He was moved to a church/university in St. Louis. Students around the university started hearing screams and animal-like noises coming from the church. So they started, gossip, right?
They're having sex with animals in there.
Yeah. Oh my God. So Roland started showing superhuman strength and broke out of his bounds during this exorcism. With 3 grown men, they could barely hold him down. He broke Father Halloween's nose and punched another priest right in the goods. At this point, Roland was completely out of control. He was violently hurting people around him while exorcisms were being performed. But they knew that this was just the beginning of a massive shit show. And that the only person who can control Roland and help him now is God himself. So March 26, day 11. Roland returned home, and for 5 days, he was eerily calm. His family started to think that things were slowly getting better. But as Maury Povich would put it, DNA test has proved that that is a fucking lie. So, so he started being weird and writing stuff out on paper saying, I will stay 10 days, but will return after 4 days are up. I am the devil himself. So his family, terrified as fuck, 911, it's a good old JC at the church, and now they're asking, what the heck is 10 days mean? How long is it going to last? Like, is that the possession? Yeah. But does the devil know that he is about to be expelled from Roland? These were the questions that his family and the priest were discussing and taking into consideration. So at this point, it's day 17 after the first exorcism. They decided to have Roland baptized. He ended up going into one of his demonic fits on the way to the church inside of a moving vehicle.
Ooh, that sounds dangerous.
Yeah, he tried to lunge from the back seat up to the front, yelling things like, you can't, you want to baptize me? Fuck that. So they ended up baptizing him anyways, and he was completely repulsed by the holy water. So growling, hissing.
Jesus.
Yeah. So they also started reciting parts of the exorcism text during the baptism. Father Bowdren suggested they go back to Maryland. Roland is starting to look like he's literally dying. He's just this thin, frail, sickly looking little boy because his body is going through so much stress and abuse from these exorcisms.
Yeah, so he's probably emaciated.
Yeah, he's...
Poor guy.
I know there's other exorcism cases where people have actually died from malnutrition and stuff like that.
That's what emaciated is.
Yeah, not purposely.
It's all the effects of
but it's just the effects. And, some people involved actually get charged with neglect and abuse and manslaughter for performing illegal or legal exorcisms that result in death.
I mean,
I get it. I get it. I think that's why they consider it manslaughter, because it's accidental, right?
Yeah.
So with no one in Maryland or DC to take on Roland's exorcisms, they decide to say, LOL, just kidding. Let's fucking go back to St. Louis because clearly nobody else will help us. So personally, I think that was just a waste of time fucking going back and forth. They should have called first. They had phones in 1949.
Time isn't helping the kid, then just stay where you are.
Yeah, especially if he's that frail, right?
You can't run away from this thing.
Yeah.
Just run far enough. It'll go away.
So he finally got admitted to a religious hospital. And this place is super hush-hush. It's the Alexian Church Hospital in St. Louis.
Well, it can't be that hush-hush if you know where it is.
Well, they have the name. It's a bunch of fathers, archbishops, priests that they run it. And they, I think some of them might be those Jesuits or Jesuits.
Je suis.
Which are people very high up in the order, right, of the Catholic Church. Mm-hmm. So at this point, when he got moved to the hospital, it has been 26 days after his first exorcism. So an Alexian monk on that Discovery Channel shock documentary, Exorcism of Roland Doe, he has revealed his eyewitness accounts of the possession only because he is dying of cancer and he wanted to share his story. Otherwise, he probably would have gone to his grave with this. But Roland was put in the psych ward for his time at the hospital. And with another round of exorcisms, Roland pulled the purple silk wrap off of one of the fathers and it instantly went into shreds. He said you could feel the power of the devil coming from within him. And that,
I just Googled it. It is pronounced Jesuit. So Jesuit.
Jesuit. I knew it was going to be pronounced completely wrong or different from how I was pronouncing it, that I was wrong.
Well, the Google lady.
So shit started like really hitting the fan. Roland started levitating off the bed, becoming extremely violent. Afraid for his health, they chose to stop the exorcism and come back the next day to try again. After the second night of exorcisms, he started throwing things at the priest. This monk said that there was no way any of this could be faked. He knew what he saw and felt it was legitimately the most realist possession case he has ever witnessed.
Ooh.
Yeah. So April 13th, day 29, they went for a stroll outside, figuring Roland needed some fresh air to feel a little bit better. And they saw these statues of Jesus on the day of his crucifixion. On the 14th, Roland started going nuts and having one of his demonic fits. So he then just booked her for the fucking cliffside along the path there. And Father Hallowen had to tackle him down to the ground before he ran off the edge and killed himself.
Jesus.
Yeah. The main father who was performing the exorcisms, he actually had lost over 40 pounds during this whole month because he was so focused on Roland's case that he was constantly praying beside his bed. And just like Roland, he looked so weak and frail. He actually, I heard he started getting some, very bad mental health issues starting, which I can imagine with losing 40 pounds, very unhealthy like that it would really mess your head up, right?
And spending all your time with basically what seems like a helpless patient.
A very negative, helpless patient, and negative energy just drains everything out of you anyways. So April 16th, day 32, the day before Easter, they placed a St. Michael statue in Roland's room on the bedside. St. Michael is the archangel of protection. He is also known as a dragon slayer and manifested for protection.
I knew that.
Yeah.
Supernatural for the win.
So April 18th, day 34, the day after Easter, is exactly 1 month since these almost daily exorcisms. One of the fathers places holy relics on Roland's body. He starts claiming that they are burning, but he's like, haha, I ain't taking this shit off, and decided to place more on top of him.
There you go.
So this causes Roland to start having a convulsion fit. So they kept yelling, what is your name? Like, who the fuck are you, bud? Like, so finally the demon says in a deep voice, he won't be leaving until Roland says the secret password. And he says that he won't say the word, and he is stuck with him forever and ever and ever.
One of us.
So Roland had randomly got this weird strength deep down inside of him and was basically like, fuck that. you don't pay rent, get the fuck out of me, bud. If you're gonna stay, $750 plus utilities. They actually heard an almost prayer-like speech starting to come out of Roland's mouth. They all knew that this had to be Michael the Archangel coming to help a bro out, and started yelling, Dominus, be gone with you, demon, and all you demonic forces. Like, so Dominus is the Latin word for Lord. So when they finally figured out, you know, the secret password that the demon was talking about, they started yelling it, right? So Roland started having the most violent episodes he has ever had. He knew that this was the end. He was either going to survive or fucking die. But he kept having these visions of angels telling him Dominos and helping him banish the demons. Pew, pew, pew. So Roland, out of nowhere, just stops convulsing. He went completely quiet and looked at one of the priests and said, he's gone. It's over. But did this bitch actually fucking leave? Because this is not the first time he's played them. Like, he's done this a few times.
Yep.
So praying for some sort of sign, they heard a giant fucking boom that shook the whole church. They actually thought like something literally exploded underground, like, you know, electrical box, something like that. But they looked up and they saw Saint Michael himself, the archangel, open his wings in the church with this bright fucking light. And when he flapped his wings, he was gone in an it was like in an instant, he was there and gone. And they knew that it was actually fucking over. Like, this is the sign they needed to see if it was actually done. So Roland stayed at the hospital for a little bit longer and then went back home. So Roland started living his best fucking life. He became a rocket scientist and worked with NASA. He married and had kids. He also named his first son Michael after the archangel that saved him. Today, Roland Doe would be in his 80s and has never publicly come out speaking of his experience, which I wouldn't either unless I was literally on my fucking deathbed.
I mean, he could probably make a good amount of money.
Oh, probably. His family would be well off if he did it, but that's besides the point. So the church won't and will not ever release Roland's real name for privacy purposes, which I completely understand because he technically was a minor at the time.
Yeah.
So, like I said at the beginning, there were 48 eyewitness accounts who had actually signed off on this, like legally signed off on this, saying that they had seen everything or most of what has been claimed. But there's actually no confirmation from the church if this is actually real or fake.
Oh.
But they still have a copy of the diary in the archives of the church where it took place. So the, what was it? The Alexian Church Hospital would have the diary there in their archives. But everybody so those 48 witnesses all believe that this was the realest fucking deal they have ever heard and seen. So this whole case really just comes down to if you believe the numerous eyewitness accounts or if you want to believe it was an extreme case of mental health. A few years later, the one wing of the hospital where the exorcism happened was set to be torn down. But before doing so, the workers actually found a locked room with a diary in it, which is how everything had got released.
Yep.
So a few conspiracy theories are that the rumor has it that after the demon left Roland, that it had to pick a new host and it had moved into one of the priests that were within the room.
Oh, no.
and that this priest that it did possess is locked in a room within a mental hospital until the day he had died. His room is locked to this day, and you can still hear things hit in the wall, the door, along with objects moving across the floor in there when you put your ear up against the door.
Yeah.
And if you think about it with those conspiracy theories, that's exactly what happened in the Exorcist film as well, right? At the end, the priest, he lets the demon possess him, and then he kills himself right after.
Yeah.
So is that actually true? Like, did William Blatty actually have the truth for his book and his movie?
Perhaps.
Or did he just go along with the conspiracy theory for Hollywood purposes? Hard to say. But this case did inspire one of the most iconic horror movies and books of all time.
Yeah.
And, but why would a demon want to possess a 13-year-old boy, and what purpose would it have?
I don't know. It's a weird case.
But like I said, it's also up to you guys if you want to believe that it's real or not.
I mean, to me, it does sound a little bit like child abuse.
It does a little bit, which is why at the beginning I said it kind of is a bit of abuse, but not, because a lot of people that have exorcisms performed on them, like I said, whether it's illegal or legal, the people involved tend to get charged with abuse, neglect, stuff like that, right? And
yeah,
I mean, you are putting a body through abuse, whether you're actually doing the abuse, or if you're just, if they have like, if he did have an underlying like medical condition and they were just, you know, feeding off of it to be like, no, there's a demon in him. No way that it could be a medical condition. And I mean, back then it was probably hard, you know, 40s, 50s, they didn't have the technology that we do now where they could actually determine if it's a legit medical condition. You know, we have
schizophrenic or something.
What was that?
He might have just been like schizophrenic or something.
Oh, yeah, which is what they thought in the beginning, that he was epileptic, Tourette syndrome, or even schizophrenic.
Maybe he was all of them.
He very well could be. I mean, you're allowed to have more than one medical condition, right?
Oh,
like
more than one and you're possessed.
Yeah, clearly, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that's my case. Yeah, sorry, I know she's kind of long, but
that's why
I wanted to get very in depth with this, because exorcisms are sometimes touchy subjects. So I wanted to make sure I got as much information as I could.
Yeah.
But all of our stuff, all of our information, citations will be put on the blog. And
I started doing it.
Yeah. So yeah, and we got juicy case for next week too for you guys. So woo.
All right. Love you guys. And
yeah.
we'll hear from you next week. Toodles.
Hi. Special thanks to Dylan Sears for the theme song and Sally Gunter for the cover art. Support us on Patreon and like, share, rate, and subscribe to us on all of our social media pages and your podcast streaming service. Do you have any personal stories or suggestions for the show? Email us at bloodgutsandbooze@gmail.com.